You're listening to the Personal Development Through Martial Arts podcast, the podcast where the world's highest personal development experts and martial arts masters come together to empower and inspire you to become your strongest self and live the life that you truly want. Join host Bogdan, Rosu, author, public speaker, and the founder of the first personal development through martial arts school in the world, in the podcast where you become the hero. We're here with Mario Tomic, and I had the pleasure to meet him when he was here in Bucharest. This is our second interview together, and I got to tell you that I was really blown away by the generosity that Mario has, and how easily he shares his wisdom regarding personal development, regarding business, but most of all, he's a freaking cool dude, right? And I'm really excited to talk more about him. Mario, please tell, for the people who don't know you, just give them some background of, how you started out, what are you doing, and how are you impacting hundreds of thousands of people every day.
Pleasure to be here, Bogdan. Yeah, great meeting you in Bucharest. Had a really fun time in Romania. Hope to be back there at some point. I gotta check out your other cities. I heard good things about Cluj.
Yeah.
And I've been in this for a long time. Started back in 2010, 2009. When I say this, I mean developing myself. I think that's what we're going to be talking about today. For people that don't know my stuff in general, I'm an entrepreneur. I help other entrepreneurs and busy, successful guys get better when it comes to fitness and health. So that's really what I'm passionate about, and that's sort of always been one area where I was really intrigued with is how can you level up your own life? How can you improve yourself? I don't know whether it's the kid that watched Dragon Ball in me or something else, but there's always something about this continuous improvement. And when I first found out about, personal development, that was the area where I saw that there's this physical improvement that you can make in the gym, and you can do this with nutrition. You can really level yourself up. But then there's also this whole mindset game that you can become mentally stronger or weaker, depending on what you do. And then you start observing around you. You see some people are behaving differently than other people, and you're kind of beginning to wonder, well, what are those successful people doing that all these other people are not, and what is the difference in their mindset? And that really sparked the whole journey of reading a lot of books. I mean, there's hundreds of books that I went through. We can link somewhere to the reading list if people are interested in.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's really, I'm a massive geek and a massive nerd when it comes to fitness, nutrition, science, and personal development. So good to be here, man.
Dude, I love it how you mentioned Dragon Ball Z, right? And I'm sure, guys, if you watch Dragon Ball Z and if you know what we're talking about, shout it out in the comment section. Yeah, type DBZ in the comments. But I love it that, I watched Dragon Ball Z and I said, dude, I want to fight like that, right? And you watched Dragon Ball Z and you said, dude, I want to look like that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that in cartoons and different stuff that we learn as kids shape who we are and who we become. And I don't know if it's a Dragon Ball Z exactly just that, but it's like this cumulative effect of these little things where you see that there's some principles that people live their life by, and I think that's where a lot of cartoons kind of go with there's some kind of ethics, there's some kind of improvement, there's some kind of development that's going on, and the characters are always fighting. There's this hero journey, and that's really a good description of what's going on in your life. If you're struggling to improve yourself, it's gonna be similar in one in any aspect you try to do. Right?
Are you familiar with Jack Canfield's work regarding the hero's journey?
I've read about that as more in lines of business, where it's a good story because it's just storytelling, and a lot of that comes down to the hero's journey. And I know what you mean. I haven't actually read the book. I think he has a book on the topic, right?
Yeah, I haven't read the book either, but I just saw the main idea that every hero goes through the same challenges basically. So yeah, absolutely. In any case, Goku is the man.
You're Goku, right? Yeah, I'm kind of more pro Goku than pro Vegeta now, but it's like,
were you a Vegeta fan?
I was.
No way.
I'm kind of like in late Z, I like certain aspects of Vegeta where he was like really hardworking and he has like this insane work ethic. Where Goku seems to be more like the genetically gifted person who's just kind of getting it naturally.
I know what you
mean.
And
but there's also, I mean, pros and cons of both. But yeah, we can do a whole podcast on Dragon Ball.
That would be a great next episode.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So, do you remember what was like your first ever personal development book? I mean, I still have mine. So I still have it. This is my first ever personal development book that I read. Do you remember? Do you remember the first one that you ever held in your hand? Like, what was the title?
The first book that I read in terms of personal development was Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins classic. It was back late 2009. Right. That's when I first stumbled upon it. One of my friends from Australia, I didn't know who Tony Robbins was. I didn't know he existed. I didn't know anything about personal development whatsoever. And then this friend came from Australia who was my childhood friend while we were living. We were going to school together, and we used to do things together. We play soccer and things like that. And he came back from Australia. He's like, dude, like, you gotta read this. And I'm like, I don't read. Like, I don't read books. Like, what are you? Are you going back to school? You know, I was really, you know. He's like, no, forget it. You know, all the stuff that you used to read, all the books, they're just BS. I agree with you. It's all nonsense. Now, this you have to read. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to give it a shot. And actually what happened is that I got the book and I just read it in one day. It was so good. Wow. I just read it in one day. I read it in just a few hours. You didn't read
at all before that, right? Like,
no, I didn't read at all.
You didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
No, because my idea of reading was reading this, I don't know, math or integrals and statistics and things like that. And I really didn't like to read a lot when I was in let's say in college. And I was more into programming and developing more kind of creative work. So I didn't like the whole theory. Funny enough, actually, when I was in high school, I loved reading. I read a lot of biology and medicine, but I never went into that route. I went into computer science instead. So it's like this weird mix. But this Awaken the Giant Within was incredible for me because it almost like came at the right time in my life when I could resonate a lot with what being said in the book. And I just started noticing patterns. When I was reading the book, I was kind of thinking how this reflects in the behaviors of people around me. Right. And I just oh my God, you know, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. And that kind of spiraled. And I think next one that I went into was Brian Tracy's work. So that was really, I never went down deep into the rabbit hole of Tony Robbins and stuff and all this tapes and stuff like that. But that was kind of I think that was the initial spark that got, you know, the fire. And then we got, No Excuses, Brian Tracy, one of my personal favorites. I think I like that book more than Awaken the Giant Within. But overall, I mean, these two guys, I think, really why I started, I could say those are the guys.
It's funny that you say that because reading Brian Tracy's book had a huge impact on my life because I was living in Italy, right, and things were not working out with my work, with my school, with my relationship. So it was all, you know, it was just like garbage. And I got a bunch of his books, and I was reading. I don't remember exactly the title of the book, right? And I was like halfway through this book, and I kind of felt it inside my heart, you know, like a year. It was time to change. It was time to give all that up and just change. And there was this paragraph in his book that said something along the lines like, "Look, if it's not working out, just change. Just try something else," right? And that kind of inspired the courage to say, "Okay, it's not working. Let me just start over," and then move to Romania, which was like the best decision at that point. So thank you, Brian Tracy. If you're listening, we love you.
Yeah, so many hugs and love to Brian and Tony. I mean, absolutely. Before these guys, I didn't think I thought a person could change. You know, I was thinking people are, you know, the way you grow up, you kind of are determined, and that's really what you are. And these guys kind of, these guys were the guys that changed that for me, and that kind of started the whole thing.
Did you go to UPW to Unleash the Power Within?
No, I haven't. No,
dude,
I haven't.
It's amazing. You should absolutely. It's like
it's on the to-do list.
Mind blowing.
100% on the to-do list. Normally, I don't get to catch the seminars unless I'm actually in the city for my own stuff, and then kind of luckily I mix it together. And most of the stuff that I go to now, when it comes to seminars, I go to more of evidence-based fitness and nutrition seminars where I learn more about from the researchers and stuff that hasn't been published yet, or something in the edge, which helps my practice and in my company, my work with entrepreneurs. But in terms of personal development, I think Unleash Power Within, or it's just generally going to more of those personal development seminars. I think that's really the thing that I'm gonna do more this year, because so far it's been more like remotely, that I've been either listening to audiobooks or speaking with mentors and people like that. But that's
I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but for the people who have been to UPW, like the third day, because it's like a 4-day event, right? So for you guys who are listening in, if you've been to UPW and you know what I'm talking about, don't describe it, don't spoil it for anyone, but just write down like the sound that comes in your head or in your heart when you think of the third day. Dude, it's creepy as fuck, but it's I tell you, it's worth it. Like in a good way, right? I won't spoil it for you. I won't spoil it.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going to get to meet a lot of great people, and that's really one of the biggest things about these events is networking for me, because I get to meet people in a sort of a similar mindset, which, I mean, you can never really have enough of that.
My roommates, check this out. The people that I shared the apartment with a few guys, right? One of them just texted us because we became friends, right? One of them just texted us a few days ago that he just became a millionaire. Because he's investing in crypto and stuff like that. And the other, he's helping coaches right now, with their businesses. I'm interviewing him in a few days. So heads up, guys, for the interview with Jean-Paul, because that's going to be a lot of fun as well, right? So absolutely, you get to meet like high level performers in these events, especially in UPW.
Awesome, man. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Listen, let's talk a bit about what most people don't really get into in this personal development space. Let's talk about the mistakes that you made along the way, because now you're I look up to you on a business level. Your business is going really well, you're really successful. What were like the mistakes that you made along the way? We talked about it when we met in Bucharest, but I'd really love it if you could share some of that.
Oh man, there's a lot of them, right? So it's kind of the situation, the more you know, the more you know how few things you know, the fewer things you understand. And over the years, it's that exact curve. You start off and you're like, okay, I don't know anything about anything, and it's cool and it's fine. I just can build up, I can learn. Then you reach a point where you think you actually do know something, and you start to develop this identity and this almost like an ego. Oh, I'm the expert,
right?
And then you start learning more, and then you realize just how many other experts and things are there in the world, and people that have even spent 40, 50 years researching one simple thing, like let's say muscle protein synthesis in nutrition or in training, and or just experts on just protein, and they could research that for 50 years, and they're still not the expert, knows end all be all. And then it all comes down to statistics and probability, and it's like, oh my god, you're like, oh shit, I don't know anything. That's kind of one of the mistake learning when you first start out, that people neglect how open-minded you need to stay on your journey. So you never want to settle for the fact, okay, I know and that's it. I know how this works. Because even if you do, let's give you an example. Let's say in business, like even if you do know how business runs at 2018,
right?
You know everything. There's no guarantee that in half a year that's gonna actually work like that. And at the same time, you are growing. What gets you to one point is not the same thing that's going to get you further. So you have to continuously develop yourself. And I've had periods where, for example, I thought, well, okay, this business thing is handled, so I don't need to keep improving, and I don't need to keep working on it, so I can dedicate more time to myself and to other things, which is great for those things. But at the same time, business wasn't actually growing. And if you're not growing, normally happens, you're actually declining. So it's not there's some kind of maintenance phase, maybe for a month or two that you can maintain, quote unquote, but if you're not moving forward, most likely you're moving backwards. So that's one of the first things, is that having that more of a newbie mindset. So don't let yourself you trick yourself into thinking you're the expert. So don't let your mind trick you that you're an expert. Still maintain some of that kind of newbie spark, where it's going to allow you to question things and have that critical thinking above everything, which is really important. So I think that's by far, I think that's the mistake that I had, and I now see it in a lot of people that are in all different areas of my life. And that's the one. The second one I would say it's really important is not knowing your maximum leverage points, right? So what I mean by that is that you right now, I mean, you're speaking about this and you watching this as well, you have a point right now in your life that is the point of maximum leverage.
Right.
So if you handle that, you're going to get the maximum return on investment and how much better your life is going to be, right? So what is that point? So it could be nutrition, it could be losing weight, it could be getting in better shape, but maybe you're already in somewhat decent shape, and now maybe the next step for you is going out and trying to meet new people, or maybe starting your own business, or changing your job to something else that you're more passionate about, that you love more, that you can improve more. Maybe it's something more spiritual, maybe it's taking on more of a work on really your mindset and yourself, on who you are. So you got to discover that leverage point for you. And I made that mistake where I forgot that I should be searching for that leverage point continuously. So let's say you get to fitness on an 8 out of 10, right? So you feel really happy about that.
Right.
The common trap, and the one I fell into, is now continuously working on that fitness while my other stuff, maybe let's say the business was, let's say 5 out of 10.
Right.
And you hit that diminishing return with your health and nutrition, because to get from 8 to 9 or from 9 to 10, it takes so much more work. Instead of me just continuously working on like as a whole in my entire life, where I can then go into business and say, how can I get my business from 5 to 8? And then I can, because that's a big leverage point. That's more freedom. That's more joy. That's more satisfaction, purpose, or even not business, more spiritual.
Let's just just dive a bit deeper, like on a bit more clearly define what is a leverage point, because to us that we're into this personal development space, it may be a bit more clear, right? What would you, or how would you define a leverage point?
Right. So the first thing, let's define the areas of your life, right? So you have your health and fitness, you have your business, you have your relationships, you have somewhat higher purpose or spirituality, or however you want to call it, right? Now, you could rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in all these areas of your life right now, right? So be somewhat conservative, realistic, where you're at to where you could be. And you will see that there's different areas that are more developed than others.
Right.
And the good thing about life in general is that improving one area will improve another area. So you, by getting better at, let's say, your social skills and networking and people, you're going to be more happier, probably healthier, more likely to engage in more healthful behaviors, and also probably more successful in business, because you have all these networks. Same in business. If you get more, let's say you improve your business, you have more financial freedom. You can now work more on yourself, your health, your relationships with people. You have access to certain things most people don't, and things like that, right? Now, the leverage point, and why is this really important, is that there's always a thing that you can work on that's going to deliver you the most improvements to your overall being in your life at any point in time, right? So let me give you an example to make this more simple. Let's say you're making $100K a year,
right?
So let's say you're doing $100K a year. I'm just using it as a round number. By no means that's the point where you should stop or go to or whatever, right? There's actually been some research that above a certain threshold, which is about 70K, that there's no more happiness, but that's a lot of data. And some would say that those people don't know how to spend their money. But I'm not going to get into that. money is definitely not what leads to happiness for sure. So let's say you get to 100K, you have a decent level of financial freedom, right?
Right.
And then on the other hand, you look at your relationships, and let's say you're single, you don't have a lot of friends, you spend most of your time alone, and it's starting to bother you, right?
Right.
Now, what is your biggest leverage point at that moment? Is it to make, I don't know, 120K or 200K or 300K or 500K? Well, it's actually not. I mean, if you're gonna make, let's say, 200K, and
not much is gonna change.
Make, right? Like you're still gonna live your lonely, miserable life, even though you're just gonna have more, money in your bank account.
Yeah, but now you're driving a Jaguar instead of a BMW.
Yeah, it's gonna make zero difference because you don't have anybody to share it with.
Yes, exactly.
And that's exactly where, and if you look at the research on happiness, even research on longevity, community, strong relationships with people, to being more social, that actually contributes a lot. So this is your point of leverage. Now, it's probably a good idea to put your business sort of on a back burner and invest all of your time, most of your time,
in that sense,
improving your relationships.
Awesome. So just a quick side note. A great book on finding more happiness is Authentic Happiness. I forgot the author. I think I just forgot the author. He's like the founder of positive psychology, right? So this is a great book that you guys can check out. So what you're saying, if I understand it correctly, is like just having a lift and just doing a diagnostic of your life and seeing, okay, what is the area that if I put more energy towards, it would drastically increase the quality of my life, right? And that can be different from month to month, right? It's not something that, so Mario said I need to do more fitness, so now I have to do fitness. Or, this guru said I need to handle my business, now I need to handle my business. It's a very intimate process, right? It's
something you should be doing at least quarterly. So at least quarterly, you should be doing that, and you should reanalyze your life at maybe even, let's say, once a half a year. It's okay, but that should be happening. That's a continuous process that should be happening, and that's something that you naturally don't want to do,
right? Because
we naturally like to play our strengths, and you're more likely to keep doing what you're currently doing because you have momentum in that area. But that's where the problem lies, because most people are getting too specialized and they lose track of their balance and they neglect other things.
So what would you comment on what Gary Vaynerchuk is promoting? When Gary's freaking awesome, I love his stuff, and he's saying, always go on your strengths, I forget the words that he's using, but just like bet on your strengths and just increase your strengths.
I mean, to be precise, I think we're talking about a different context. I don't think what Gary talks about, and I would say I'm a fan. I know some of his stuff. I haven't gone through. I don't watch all his videos, but I know I read all the books and stuff.
Right.
I know what he means, but it in the context of achieving sort of like a balanced, successful, happy life, that's probably not the way to go about things.
Yeah, I wanted to address this because a lot of people who are in the personal development space are aware of of the materials, but absolutely, if you're making, like you said, $200,000 or $100,000 a year, and you're betting on making more money, that's not going to increase your happiness. If you're lacking in every other area of your life.
Yeah, I mean, it depends also on where you're at in all the areas. And when I'm using an extreme example, again, I will tell you one thing is that complete balance is also a myth.
Yeah.
So it's not a black and white kind of thing. You still will have an area that is dominating everything else. The area that you're really passionate about, where everything clicks and you're just super engaged with that, you're taking massive action.
Yeah,
that's going to take over, right? By far, that's not a problem. But I just see too many guys with, approaching, at least from my coaching program, guys, they own multiple house and apartment buildings, they have yachts, they travel the world, they do all these things. And then you have someone who had, he's 39, he had multiple heart attacks, he's in really bad shape because he hasn't invested a single minute in his health in the last almost 40 years. And I have these cases consistently reaching out to me. and his family in that case, and the person's family life is really good. He has a family as well, but again, that was his Achilles heel, his health and fitness. So in this case, what would give that person more leverage? Probably if he invested training once or twice a week, he would have avoided a lot of that stuff, and a little bit more awareness and a little bit more mindfulness. And that doesn't mean that his business would actually suffer that much, but just instead of going black and white, which is, full on business, like 100%, 10 out of 10, and zero health and fitness, that's what gets you in trouble.
What usually happens with cases like this, when they come to you and they haven't paid attention at all to their fitness, and then you help them out, they're making, they have their families all right, they're making good money, and then they take care of their fitness as well. What tends to happen after that with everything else?
So in this particular case where I mentioned someone already having heart attacks or any pre-existing medical conditions, that we can't work with those people. I can't accept them as a coach because it's just not inside of the area of my expertise. So it's outside of the scope of practice for me, right? But let's say someone who hasn't had any, let's say someone's coming who doesn't have any pre-existing medical conditions and they're out of shape. Then we're looking at, and usually people themselves, they reach a point where it's kind of like this tipping point in their life where they're like, oh, I have to start working on this because things are starting to fall apart. And it's usually in your 40s where you start noticing this, sometimes even mid 30s. Then we're starting at, okay, number one, we have our intake calls, we have our assessments and things like that, but it really starts with an honest conversation and a very real kind of check in with them and see, okay, where you're at right now. What's the balance? Like, where are you spending most of your time? Looking at your entire week, looking at the months and years, and we're looking at the lifestyle, what it is now and where it needs to go. And then we're looking at, okay, where can we, let's say, remove certain things that are holding you back, that are not contributing to your health and fitness, and where can we add more things that will, and building that lifestyle that will then allow you to be healthier. And over time, it will actually become the new you, because that's ultimately what people need is a lifestyle change, an identity change.
Yeah.
So they need a change of identity of who they think they are. So you can think of yourself as a fat CEO, and I'm using the word fat not as a kind of a shamey word. You can think of yourself as kind of this, I'm this overweight CEO who doesn't care about his health.
Right.
But at the same time, you could think of yourself as I'm the fit CEO who is taking care of his health for his family and for him, and he's also crushing in the business. And you can take on that challenge easily. And I've been consistently seeing guys do that, and men in their 40s especially are very motivated by this because they're starting to notice how neglect plays out with their colleagues. They see their colleagues dropping dead at 50 and at 60. They see people having bad relationships because of this with their families and things like that. So it's a big leverage kind of point where for them to.
It makes me think of the monk who sold his Ferrari by Robin Sharma.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm recommending so many books today. It's like I feel very literate.
Should read a lot of books. Yeah, all that you mentioned were fantastic reads.
Awesome. Thanks for the backup. It's it's funny that this idea of changing your identity is a recurring theme, because we've discussed it even in Radu's interview, right? You did a seminar together with Radu when you were here in Bucharest. By the way, guys, when I was late, I admit, I'm ashamed to admit that I was late to the event, but when I got there, I was just shocked because there was this bunch of guys who were just standing, right, because they didn't have enough room and to sit. Crazy, but that was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think it applies to everything: fitness, business, relationships. You need to start with choosing somebody else, choosing to be something else, which it's not easy, in my opinion, because it feels like something inside of you needs to die. Like the identity that you have now, who you are now, kind of, you need to let go of that, right? How do your clients do that usually?
It's about leverage. It's really about leverage. It's having an idea of what you're really working toward and what you're moving away from. So you need to know that. You need to know the consequences of your actions.
Yes.
And you need to be able to own the situation and take full responsibility for what's happening to you. So first step is obviously to take responsibility. That's the number one thing, is that the realization that the actions that you've taken are what led you to where you are right now. That's it.
Yeah, you're responsible for, or everything good that you have in your life, or everything that you're not happy with, is because of your choices. Period.
Absolutely. And that compound effect is why someone ends up, let's say 45, and with extra 50 pounds, everything aches, everything hurts. They're not happy with themselves.
Yeah.
That's a compound effect. That's not because you've chosen to eat one pizza and one ice cream once.
Yes.
This is a cumulative effect of decades of bad behavior, quote unquote bad, right?
Absolutely. You know, you usually spend. You made a video once, and you said that you spend around 4 to 5 hours in the gym per day. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate. No, that would be a lot. That would be too much for,
right?
For that. That's definitely pushing it in the realm of overtraining.
You are training daily, right?
Yes, that is true.
How did that start? I mean, it's not like you decided one night, you went to bed and you said, you know what, I'm gonna be training every day, and it just happened, right? In some cases it does, but I don't know if it was your case. How did you develop like this kind of working mindset?
You know, it builds upon what we just said. We like doing things that we're good at, and once you become really good at something over time, and when I don't mean that I'm good compared to someone else, but I mean I'm much better than I was when I started. That kind of gets you going, and you want to do it more and more
because you become better.
Because you become better at it. And this is where a lot of people that are beginning at, let's say, weightlifting, they can't even kind of relate to their future selves, because now it might feel weird for them to lift weights or go to the gym.
Yes.
And they feel like, oh my God, I have no motivation to do this. You know, it's just annoying. It's boring. Why the hell am I doing this? But it's as anything else. When you first start out, because your skill level is so low, it's almost like annoying to do it.
Yeah.
But once you start becoming good, then you start viewing it almost as another way to express yourself. So it's almost a form of expression, and that's why you keep going there, because in one way you're kind of number one, you definitely feel better by far, you know, while you're training compared to not training.
Yes.
That's one reason. But then the other reason is just more of like, you want to do something where you're a master at it. Like a chef wants to cook. It's his thing. A dancer wants to dance. It's his thing. And I mean, I don't want to dance because I suck at it. But if I was really good at dancing, I'd be waiting for like, any music, you know, in a bus, I would be dancing, or in anywhere, right? I would be catching the beat. And that's the same with weightlifting. It's a skill set, right? And over time, as you develop it, and start small, but you develop a really strong mindset around the things that you've invested yourself in with a lot of repetition.
Yeah, and it kind of gets reinforced because you put like photos of yourself on Instagram, you get likes, and people, you know, like, oh my God, that's cool, you know.
That also helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Like, but don't expect likes like after 3 or 4 days of training. I think also, you know, Brian Tracy was talking about that in his books about, you know, about selling, and he's saying like, people tell me all the time, you know, I hate selling. He says, of course you hate selling. You're not good at it yet.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Brian has a really good point there, and like, if you don't know a certain area, you think it's. I mean, you have all these weird beliefs that you picked up potentially somewhere online or in person, or and generally people are when it comes to skills like sales or whatever, it's a skill that it's going to happen to you anyway, right? So you're going to be selling, and you're going to be sold to.
Absolutely.
Whether you're aware of it or not.
Absolutely.
So now you can choose whether to become good at it,
or not.
You can, not become good at it. And there's a consequence of either way, right? So
Yeah.
same with relationships. You're going to be talking to people anyway. So you can talk to people in a way that you can get to meet them and learn something from them, and they can get to meet you. Or you can not do that and kind of just suck at it, and you're going to miss out on a big portion of your life just because you suck at it. And same with everything else. I mean, there's always kind of a trade-off, right? And it's going to take time. But yeah, as we mentioned, you just don't know how to do it, and that's why it's so bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I mean, what sales? There's a lot of scammers out there, a lot of bullshit out there. So that's one thing I want to mention as well. When it comes to these areas where money is involved or different value exchanges are involved, there's definitely a negative state for a reason.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that the whole thing is bad, but people are black and white in general in their thinking. So one bad example kind of skews everything for them.
To give it a bit of context, because when myself and I know a bit about your process as well. When we're talking about selling, it's not about in our mindset, in our consciousness, it's not about I have this product and I need to push it and sell it to everyone, right? The way we see sales is like, look, if you're a good fit with what we're offering, okay, we can work together, right? If we're not a good fit, I will recommend someone, or I'll recommend the best solution that I have that is a good fit to you. So it's more like a consultation, like going to a doctor, right? I would not give something that is not like, that I don't 100% believe that it can help you out.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to genuine intentions, right?
Yeah.
So if your intentions are to help people, and if your intention is to bring value and to make sure that the person gets 100 times more than they've actually invested, hell yeah, you should get good at selling. I mean, if you're that type of person, you should learn. And if you're an honest person who has great integrity, you should do that, because then you're actually going to contribute, because then the people that are not with such genuine and honest intentions, they will have you to compete with, and you're always going to win.
Dude, people can tell immediately when you're not looking out for their best interests and you're looking out for your own. They can smell it miles away. Right?
Absolutely. Everybody has been. I mean, you walk into a shop and I don't know, you're looking at something, can I help you? And you can almost smell sometimes that there's this cold, okay, I want to push you into something, and and your first line of defense, like, oh, I'm not interested, or I'm just kind of browsing, or I'm just looking around, and that person maybe sometimes has, and a lot of times they do have great intentions, but they just don't know how to express themselves, and you're kind of piling them together with the people that really want to kind of, I don't know, sell you some kind of MLM scheme or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah. Well,
but yeah.
Cool. No offense to MLM, multi-level marketing guys who are watching. Thanks to to multi-level marketing, I got in touch with personal development, so I'm very grateful for that. But some of you guys, you really pisses off, right? Not all of you, but you get some of you like crazy. Cool. So I noticed, like, when something that I really appreciated towards the end of your seminar with Radu, you said, look, I'm only interested in becoming the best version of myself. I'm not interested in competing or doing some crazy stuff, fitness wise. And I love that, and I want to talk a bit about that as well. Why do you feel that you should just focus on your own results and not compare yourself with others?
The simplest answer is because it's more realistic to compare yourself to yourself, right? So it's more true to reality, and it's also more fair because there are too many confounding variables. If you compare yourself to someone else, you're just not. It's not a level playing field.
Yeah,
because you can always, and it's subject to more cherry picking. Because you get to pick who you compare yourself with, and then you can, if you want to make yourself feel better, you can always find someone who you're supposedly performing better than. If you want to make yourself feel bad, which a lot of high performers naturally kind of do, and they don't celebrate and out of their progress, it's a whole different issue. But a high performer is like, okay, I'm going to pick out some guy who's 15, 20 years ahead of me, and then I'm going to make myself feel so bad that I'm going to take action. And it can be useful as a motivational tool to do that from time to time, and sort of get some inspiration. But the problem is that it's not real. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
The only real thing is what you're doing now and what you're going to do tomorrow, because that's somewhat under your control. So you want to always operate in your life in general, and that's kind of my way of thinking, is you want to operate from a position of maximum control.
Right.
And what's not in your control, and this is more like stoic way of thinking, what's not in your control, your attitude toward that should be the attitude of acceptance. So you're basically accepting everything that's going on, which is cool, which is great, but I can't control that. What I can control is myself and my own actions, and that alone is the place where I can then make comparisons, because then that's a valid comparison. And gym and fitness are a fantastic example of intra-individual difference when it comes to dieting and weight loss.
Yeah.
One study that comes to mind, and I promise myself I won't quote a lot of studies here, but one study they did in the early 90s, I think was Bouchard. They took a bunch of pairs of twins, and they overfed them for a long time, for months. They gave them 1,000 calories each, extra on top of what they're doing 6 days out of the week. And what they've noticed is that between the twins, the pairs of twins, they didn't have a lot of difference, right? Between the twins, so if I'm a twin and if I'm a twin, we were going to have a similar genetic response. But between the pairs, huge difference. I mean, the variance is insane. Okay. Some of them gained extra 20 pounds compared to the other group, and they were overfed the same exact amount, right? So if that twin would now compare themselves to the other guy, and they're like, oh my God, like we're doing the same exact program, quote unquote, and you're getting a different result, and you're being leaner, you barely gain any weight, you look better, and I'm storing all that as fat, and it's all going in my visceral fat area, and I feel like crap. It would be an unfair comparison. But a fair comparison, somewhat, in terms of this, which comes to genetics, would be between the twins. And they actually had very similar results. Yeah. So they had the same genetic kind of level playing field, where the nutrition, when it landed on it, it had a very similar response. Yeah. And this is where, I mean, you don't have to have a twin to actually to compare yourself with someone. I think that would be almost the only, I guess, the only place in nutrition where you could kind of compare yourself with someone else. Yeah. If you had an identical twin. For the most part, the best comparison you could make is toward your past self. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons what kind of brought this whole leveling up mindset, is because you're leveling yourself up, right?
Dude, I actually mentioned this in one of the videos on my YouTube channel. I used to beat myself up so much because I would compare myself to Tony Robbins, right? And I would say like, oh my God, I'm doing nothing. Tony Robbins was doing so many things at my age, right? He was changing so many people's lives and doing this and that. I'm not doing anything, and just feel like crap for the rest of the day. But what I finally accepted was that Tony had a very rough childhood, right? And he actually started his personal development and coaching career, let's say, when he was a kid, right? Which is like an extra lifetime compared to when I started my personal development journey, which is not an excuse, but it's just realizing that, you're just seeing the fluff, like you said, you're cherry picking when you're comparing with other people. You're just seeing the positives, but it's like you need to get the whole process of growth and just accept that it's a very intimate and individual journey. Like,
absolutely,
it's gonna be very different for you compared to others.
I mean, Tony made the best out of his situation, and the only thing that you can do is make the best out of yours. Yeah. And that's the only thing that I learn. Do these comparisons, I compare more of like behaviors and attitudes, not the results. So I will compare work ethic. And I will judge you by your work ethic. I will judge you by your behavior. Yeah. I will judge you by those things, but I'll not judge you by the result. Because the result is something you don't have control of, but I will judge you over the things that you have control of, and when I say judge, I don't mean in a negative way. I mean like if you're looking at whether someone is going to be successful, yeah, more like evaluate whether someone's going to be successful or not. You can look at their behaviors, where they're leading, and you can project. There's no guarantee any result will happen, but you can kind of stack the odds in your favor, and that's what we're all doing. I mean, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be more successful in a month from now than I am today. There's absolutely no guarantee.
Yeah, there's so many factors.
I can do the best I can, and God, the universe will sort out the rest, and that's really what it is. And you have to operate from that level, and that is sort of liberating because there's really no excuse then. Because if I compare myself based on my results, I can always find an excuse like, oh, I'm never going to be as good as someone else, and that's a really nice excuse because it kind of liberates you from responsibility.
Dude, what is success to you? Like, what do you understand? Like, what is that definition to you personally, and what do you do on a daily basis to make it a reality?
I've been asked that question a lot, and the more I kind of think about it, to me it almost equates directly to freedom. So freedom of choice, freedom of sort of like doing the things that you want to do with whoever you want to do and whatever you want to do at any time you want to do. And it's sort of like having this complete freedom. Yeah. And that's really what I deem successful, because you can have complete freedom. I mean, regardless of, financially be free, and because if you kind of set your own world where you kind of have freedom in the things you can control, you can be successful even if you can't control the entire world, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. If you think about it, in your domain, you can be very successful in the domain that you control, right? When we're talking about how to express it daily, man, my life is an expression of freedom by far, right? So traveling places where I want to travel, I enjoy small things, right? I get to enjoy going to the gym. I consider that success. I consider that my freedom, that I get to go there and I get to express myself and I get to spend 2 hours in the gym if I want to. That's fantastic. Who the hell? I mean, that's amazing, right? I get to choose somewhat what I eat, and I get to choose someone who I spend time with, and that's amazing, right? And that's I choose relatively when I want to wake up or not, even though I do force myself to wake up when I need to. Yeah. But it's still a choice, and choice is for me freedom, and freedom to me is success, if that makes sense.
That's so powerful. Yeah, I love what you said, that you can actually create that freedom regardless of where you are, just by being more aware of your choices. Yeah,
and that's how you get motivated to begin with. Like you get motivated by expressing yourself and by making choices. So making a choice is motivating in itself, right? So making a choice and taking action, that is the thing that will generate motivation. So if you're thinking now, oh, I don't have any motivation, or I'm just kind of struggling with this, I don't have any inspiration to do anything, just the fact that you make a choice in the morning, when that like alarm just rings a little bit and you wake up, you instantly make a choice, you start taking action, you're deliberately doing that is motivation itself. Everything starts with that action.
And by the way, guys, go ahead and follow Mario on Instagram and subscribe to his YouTube channel and check out his awesome life, right? I think it's awesome because he's spending like 3 or 4 months in this location, 3 or 4 months in this location, and he gets to travel everywhere, right? You're in Barcelona right now.
I travel a lot. I'm trying to actually travel less, if that makes any sense. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but travel has, I've been doing this for almost 6 years now, and I've been trying to travel less because it's just such a big impact on productivity and my other goals. And there's different things you get out of travel, but there's also depth that you get being in one location. So you always get pros and cons with anything, but I wouldn't change the way I'm living in any way. I mean, that's just the way I want it to be. So, but yeah, it's Instagram. I keep Instagram extremely humble in a sense that you will not see me, like running around and like, oh my God, look at it. No, I'm just keeping it very chill and trying to give as much value as possible with, meal examples, what I do in the gym, taking some stuff, sharing some motivation. Because I think that's the way I can contribute the most.
Absolutely. And by no means, guys, am I saying success means traveling the world. Success actually means choosing, right? choose. See what makes you happy. If it makes you happy to travel more, do it. If you want to be somewhere and live in your house and be comfy and make your choices from there, awesome. It comes down to just getting to know yourself, I think, and doing more of that.
Yeah, be real with yourself, right? Be always real, and don't sugarcoat your own kind of life more than it needs to be. Be very real where you're at, and don't beat yourself up, but also don't kind of puff yourself up, because if you don't deserve it, it's completely unfounded. So I always try to kind of keep myself as free of biases as possible, which is very hard. But yeah, it's definitely something that will give a lot of value.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's just jump on Instagram and get a few questions in. We're gonna be doing that for about 10 minutes, right? Let's see.
Yeah, I hope my Instagram doesn't crash, but I'll try.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Hey guys, I'm just about to invite over my friend Mario Tomic, who is one of the most famous fitness pros out there, and he just joined. Let me see if I can add him to our conversation, and you guys can step in and ask us a few questions. Go live with Mario. There we go. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, I like this.
Hey, what's up? Long time no see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think you have to turn down your volume on your mobile.
I did, yeah. I did.
Awesome, excellent. So, guys, for those of you who are just jumping in the Instagram live, we're just gonna review a few of the topics that we discussed. I just interviewed Mario Tomic for the Personal Development Through Martial Arts podcast, and I tell you, this is a huge value bomb. We're gonna be talking a bit, but we are taking your questions live. So if you have questions for Mario about fitness that you'd like to have answers for me, for martial arts, and for both of us in terms of personal development, you go ahead and you type your question below. First question gets a prize, right? You're gonna get access to one of my online video courses, and we're gonna go wild from there. Okay. Mario, it's Mario's first time sharing the screen.
Yeah, I'm playing around with it. I hope I don't disconnect or something.
No, it's working great. So some of the topics that we discussed were how did we discover personal development, what mistakes we did on our way, but mostly the spotlight was on Mario, of course. So why you should not compare your results with other people's results and just focus on yours, and how to develop a strong mindset. Let's just continue the conversation. Mario, what was your favorite topic of what we've discussed so far?
Oh man, I love the conversation about freedom, and I love the conversation about success in general, and what kind of makes success happen and developing a strong mindset. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people neglect, is just the fact is that to develop a strong mindset, it takes continuous work and continuous mental conditioning.
Right.
I think that's what people neglect often, because it's very easy to think that there's a point where you're gonna read enough books, or you're gonna watch enough videos, or you're gonna join enough lives, where it's all gonna click, and you're just gonna have this strong mindset. The truth is very different. The truth is more of in lines of that it takes continuous development, almost like I call this continuous brainwashing, because it's so easy not to perform at your best. It's almost like this natural inclination that we all have is to just do the least that we need to do to survive. So it takes continuous work for you to perform at the best that you can. And that's really what this whole journey is about, is that you reinvest, invest, and that pays off. But it's, let's say, a point where even if you're really well developed, quote unquote, and you have a really strong mindset, maybe you can get away with a week or two without working on your mindset. But then as soon as you stop, you will start noticing a decline in the way you work. Same with your health. You know, take a month off of the gym, you're going to start noticing even after a few weeks that you're just not performing, and it's going to break that momentum that you have. So that's really a big one. I think people misunderstand is that it's all about this whole idea of like completion. If I complete all the Tony Robbins material, I'm just going to be like Tony. You know, Tony continuously works on himself, and same as everybody else. So it literally takes you from you know, from 0 to 100, but it's if you try to stay at 100, it takes a lot of work, right? So just make sure to point that out.
I'd just like to give a quick shout out to all the people watching us on Instagram. We have Adam, Despra, Fice, Calum, Patrick, I think Andrea as well. Hi guys, we're very happy that you guys decided to join in. We'd love to take some of your questions on and discuss them, right? Or just, you know, just to say hello and give you a shout out as well. Again, first person to ask a question wins a prize from me. You get access to one of my online video courses, and boom, boom, boom. And you can ask anything regarding martial arts, personal development, and fitness. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, great conversation. Actually, a great amount of topics that we have here. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of people here. I see a lot of great stuff.
Hey man, what's up? It's important to count. Is it really important to count macros, Mario?
Depends what your goal is. It really depends what your goal is. So if your goal is to get jacked in the gym, if your goal is body composition, you do want to make sure that you're hitting your macros, especially your protein. So I would say counting them does help to ensure that you're hitting your daily targets, especially when it comes to periods of time when you try to estimate things, and then let's say if you're eating out or if you're eating a whole bunch of different foods, sometimes it can be difficult to estimate. This is where counting using apps like MyFitnessPal can help to really tell you, well, okay, I'm actually getting my daily protein. And other case scenarios, let's say you're an endurance athlete, or in general, let's say you want to make sure that you're getting in your, let's say, fruits and vegetables. It's a pretty good idea to track that, because it's so easy not to get them if you're not in, let's say, in an environment that supports that. But that doesn't mean that you have to count it forever. You know, if you have a system, you can almost make it a habit where you're going to get it regardless of whether you're counting or not. Because if you're repetitive in your diet, I mean, it's going to work.
I actually have a question for you. It's one of those hacks that you read online, but I'm very curious to find out if it works. Like, does taking photos of your meals, does that help, you know, for you to just become more conscious of what you're doing and what you're putting inside your body?
Yeah, that's one of the easiest methods to be self-accountable. There's many different ways to be self-accountable. I mean, one of the ways that you can start off with, and that's actually evidence-based, is that if people just weigh themselves, even if they don't deliberately try to go on a diet, they're going to start losing weight just because they're becoming more conscious of what they eat. I think taking pictures of food is a very nice way to be real with yourself, where that when it comes to dieting, there's a lot of problems with that, because people are often ashamed of the types of foods they eat and when they are pursuing a goal. So I think taking pictures is a good idea, especially if you can send them to a friend who can hold you accountable.
Yeah.
And again, there you can be subject to, I mean, there's different ways of thinking at this. So some people will take the photo and it's going to be just posted on Instagram for a bunch of people, which I do recommend. But another way is to take photos, but at the same time, try to guess what the contents of the food is, which is really, really going to push you mentally. And you're going to develop this skill set of knowing how to estimate really good the macro composition of a meal, which is a skill in itself that is really, really valuable.
Let me just give a shout out to Patrick. Patrick, congratulations! You won one of my online video courses, and they have to do with self-defense and martial arts. I don't think you had any idea that you're going to learn more self-defense by watching this video, so congrats. Be sure to PM me after this live, and I'll send you the link to one of the video courses. Congratulations one more time. Okay, we'll be taking one more question and then wrapping this up. Until then, I think sorry, Mario, sorry if I cut you off. If you had anything else to add to
No, man, we're good. We're good. I'm a big fan of counting. If you're looking at data, I'm a kind of a data guy. So when people are talking about counting calories and macros, I'm a I'm a proponent of learning how to do it. I don't say that you have to do it for the rest of your life, but learning how to do things. If you can choose between learning something and not learning something, as let's say simple as macros and calories, I think it's worth the investment because it's not that complicated. And most people will be able to nail it within a week or so. I would highly recommend doing that. And yeah, guys, so we're going to take another question here. And great job, Bogdan, on the interview. I really enjoyed it. So I hope this will go live soon so I can post it somewhere on my social media.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be on the Personal Development Through Martial Arts podcast. So you can Google it, you'll find it immediately, or just search it on iTunes. You're going to find the interview there, or on my YouTube channel, right? Or Mario will link it up on his Instagram.
Yeah,
profile as
I'll
well.
make a story. I'll make a post on my Facebook so you guys can check that out. I think it's going to be very valuable for you guys that are into self-development and fitness as well. Yeah, we're just going to take one more question, right? So if we have, let me see.
And let me know, guys, if you love Mario's stuff, because I think we have a lot of your followers on the live. If you love his stuff, type yes in the comment section. Let's hear it. Let's feel some love.
I wanted to do a heart, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, now. I mean, I'll actually like this, that you can go live together. It's a new feature. I did not know about it before.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Now they start including all these new features, which is really cool. So I'm getting some interesting stuff here. So I'm gonna try to get more of these lives going. Then if it's this good, seems to be much better. I haven't done one in a while.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're good. Let me see here. So we got some more time, so we can take one. Take one more question. I really like the book recommendations actually that you made on our conversation. What you recommended, like initially, what was that? Magic of Thinking Big, right?
Yeah, Magic of Thinking Big.
That was a really good one, man. That was a really good book.
You read it, right?
Yeah, I read it. It's a classic. The ones that are by Brian Tracy and Tony, that was really good.
Cool. Patrick is asking, which book do you recommend to read that are about fitness, food, and such? Hey, Adam.
Hey to Bulgaria. Actually going to be flying there soon. Yeah, books about fitness. I mean, as far as nutrition goes, there's a really cool book that I read recently from one of my, I guess I could call a mentor. We had a little bit of a conversation. Stephen Guyenet's book, The Hungry Brain.
Right.
I really look up to this guy when it comes to neuroscience of kind of how your brain works and how it works when it comes to dieting. So I would highly recommend his book, The Hungry Brain. I think it's definitely gonna open your eyes and open your mind to some new ideas. I would highly recommend checking that one out. So The Hungry Brain. That's one of the most recent ones. There's a bunch of other ones, but I think you're going to be really good with that. You can find a lot more books on tomic.com/books /books. You can find my entire reading list. There's more than 500 books there. You can probably find something that you'll like.
Awesome. Fitza is asking us, where are we from? I'm from Romania.
I'm Croatian. So
awesome. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you guys, and we're so happy that you took the time to join in on the live cast. And there's a lot more value in the interview that we just did. We'll let you know. We'll give you the links and everything you need soon. Okay, Friday it will be available on Friday.
Awesome, man. Good talking to you, Bogdan.
Likewise. Oh, and by the way, Mario, one question, but I want you to, like, in the Skype camera, right? What would be one question that you would like to ask everyone who listened to this interview or watched the video interview?
Oh man, I would actually like to ask them about their definition of success. So, what do they think success is? And they can't cheat by repeating the same thing I said.
I love it. There you go, guys. We're looking forward very much to seeing your comments in the comment section, your definition of success, because like we said, this is something very intimate and very personal. Don't be shy about it. We love to read, your opinion, your point of view, and the more you share it, the more everyone will grow. Thanks so much for tuning in, Mario. Thank you once again for your time, your wisdom, and just for doing what you're doing with people.
Thanks, Bogdan. It was a pleasure talking to you, man.
Likewise.
Okay guys, thank you so much for listening in. I hope this was super valuable for you. And also, to get notified every time I post a new video on this YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to have unstoppable self-confidence without seeming arrogant, there's a link in the description where you can download the free report. And if you want me to personally help you with your martial arts training so that you get more speed, power, precision, stability, and have a deeper understanding of your body, you go ahead and you check the link for our online academy, which you will find, of course, in the description. And please go ahead and give us a rating on iTunes. It does help and it is very much appreciated. I'll see you next time.